Supper Club. Incredible live music, 4-star food, handcrafted drinks, and first-class service, all in the classic Supper Club setting. Don't miss out. Visit croonersmn.com to plan your perfect night out. That's croonersmn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, and in the nighttime hours on 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday. Good to have you with us here today. Matt and Patrick here today. Rick Smith is going to join us. We'll talk some workers. We'll talk of. There's a lot of things that me and Rick can talk about, and he's going to join us here coming up here at about half an hour from right now. Patrick, you seem to have survived watching the Astros beat the Twins in their home opener yesterday. How are you feeling? I mean, have you finished vomiting after that game?
I was vomiting up the food selection. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no, don't go down that road. I like the food at Target Field. That's nice. That's about the only thing that's digestible there. It was, it's going to be a long season, I think, at times. It's going to definitely be a long season this year.
No, you could be right about that, but of course we're just 1 week in, so we'll see.
You mentioned Altuve came to bat and he struck out 5 times yesterday?
Yeah, it was the strangest thing. So he came up in the 9th. He'd already struck out 4 times, and he got down 0-2 in the count. And you would think, if you didn't know what the score was, that this could be the final out of the game with the Twins winning. And it was, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. It just kind of shows, and I won't go too deep into this, a lot of people still very much do not like Jose Altuve.
Oh, no, they do not. Is it louder than when they're shooting for chicken sandwiches over at the Timberwolves game and the guy hits the first free throw?
Maybe not that loud, but you do have the benefit of the indoor arena keeping all the noise in too.
Well, I'm glad you survived. Okay, did you try any of the new food? I mean, this baseball stadiums, I know the Cubbies get great food. I know Seattle, the fish, people are telling me about going get the sushi and stuff out in Seattle is apparently really good. What is the du jour item there?
So this was the tragedy of yesterday. I picked up a shawarma.
Okay.
And I was bringing it back to my seat.
No.
I tripped on the stairs and I dropped it. Yeah.
Did you drop it on any Houston Astros fans? Oops.
Sorry.
Oh, that's not coming out. Okay. You dropped your shawarma.
Yeah, it was. I did get a little nibble of it on the way up, but I didn't get to make a judgment of it.
Oh, man, I am so sorry. That is a loss. That's a pretty good shawarma over there. Also, the Cuban sandwich they have there, Tony Oliva Cuban sandwich. And then,
I'm not sure they have that anymore.
It's downstairs. It's in the I'll tell you. Okay, you know me and food. I'll show you exactly where you need to go to get that. I know exactly where it's at. Okay. That is one of the best things about that stadium. Also, I got to admit that Jamaican stand. I love good food, man, and having it at if it's a nice warm day and you're enjoying a baseball game, enjoying the keyword there, you basically it's a fine thing. That's one of the. I'm glad. Don't get me wrong. I love a hot dog, and I will always have a hot dog at a baseball stadium. I love them because they're generally delicious. Horrible for you, but delicious. Now, that being said, I also that's like the 3rd inning. About the 6th or 7th inning, I go on the prowl, and that's where I'm looking for the new stuff. And I love that. I love that the stadiums have gotten that. Because I was a kid, I remember the old Metrodome. It was popcorn, it was Cracker Jacks, hot dogs, or popcorn, and or peanuts, and that was it. And the idea of a hamburger at a baseball stadium was like, you're talking science fiction, my friend. Today, you can get whatever you want to. It's fantastic.
For sure.
All right. Good to have you back here. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Hey, let's, I don't know, take a look at the old stock market for the day, huh? Oh, my God. Dear Lord. Once again, and by the way, is there anything funnier than watching Trump rubes jump out on television and talk about how the stock market's falling off the cliff this is a good thing. Today, yesterday was 1,600 points. Today, 2,231 points. 5% of the Dow is gone. Almost 6% of the S&P is gone. Almost 6% of the NASDAQ is gone. Jeez. Yeah, it was a brutal day on the stock markets here. On the positive front, on the smile file, Tesla dropped $27.85 a share. Delightful. Oh, burn Tesla. Well, that's actually what the car does do. It's got a lot of structural and engine problems. They need to recall that sucker and get it fixed because it's got made of glue. But yeah, their stock it lost 10% today. Wow. Yeah, that's a shame. Anywho, this is crazy. I got to be honest with you. It is somewhat crazy to see how bad this is going and to see how Trump and his crew they're just determined to do this. And he actually released a video today where he said, I'm purposely tanking the stock market, which is okay. No, bad. But, for him, he thinks at what point do you not think that he's just doing the bidding of Russia? Because right now, the one place on the planet where they are having the best time is in Russia. Vlad Putin is sitting there laughing and laughing, watching the United States economy burn under probably his orders to Trump. He's watching the NATO allies, start to fall apart. He's watching a global trade recession. And once again, what country wasn't included in Donald Trump's trade war? Well, that's right, Russia. But Donald Trump is just a horrible human being. And I did the worst thing that Donald Trump did today on the Progressive Citizen X blog. You can go check that out. And that was that April being Child Abuse Prevention Month. That basically he made his commemoration of it basically just an attack on transgender care, not completely ignoring child abuse and child neglect, completely ignoring all the things that are happening that actually cause child abuse and child neglect, and instead focusing on transgender people. And once again, this goal by Trump to create a second tier class of human being, much like the worst people on the planet ever have done. And yeah, that's what he did. That's pretty horrible. And by the way, if you go and look at that, once again, it's the worst thing that Donald Trump did on 4/3/25. If you look for Progressive Citizen X, you'll find it there. I also put the link in there for the Google Docs that lists the nearly 1,400 conservative Republicans and MAGA people who have been caught violating children, and including, by the way, one of the newest additions of the list is allegedly Senator Justin Eichhorn, the Republican senator who on St. Patrick's Day was found to be trying to solicit a minor allegedly for sex. But it's not just that. Donald Trump created an uproar yesterday evening after reports emerged he was going to skip the dignified transfer of the 4 U.S. soldiers who died in Lithuania for a golf event. Once again, any veteran, okay, he's cut veterans benefits, he's cut the VA, he has fired numerous veterans, he's not even showing up to honor the dead soldiers when they return. Any veteran that's still voting for Trump, I'm saying this as a veteran of the U.S. Army, you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. And let's just be honest, if you're still supporting him at this point, it's your bigotry and racism that's more important to you than defending the honor of veterans, because this guy sure doesn't care. And by the way, the thing which you should point out is that the Lithuanians, thousands of Lithuanians, line the streets out of respect to honor the lost 4 American soldiers. Thousands of Lithuanians Trump couldn't manage to go. And it wasn't like he had to go far. It was a few hundred miles where the transplant was coming in. It's not like he was out in Alaska and, they're going to be flying into to Jacksonville or something like that. No, it was just a few hundred miles. He could just jump on a private jet, his own private jet, Air Force One, fly on up, meet the plane, show some respect for the dead soldiers, fly back to his golf event. Nope, couldn't be interrupted because he does not care about the veterans. And shame on you, because he showed you how little he cared about the veterans during his first term. And then all you guys did was go, let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. And then you kept, and he said he was going to cut the VA. He said he was going to fire people in the government. And now all of a sudden you're sitting there going, wait a second, I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. You can shut up now. Go work on your GoFundMe page, and hopefully it outshines everyone else's. You voted for this. So don't act like you're outraged. Don't act like you're let down. This is exactly what this man was. Ugh. Just makes me sick to my stomach. NBC News reported that Trump would not be present and the fallen soldiers arrived at Dover in Delaware because they were killed when their vehicle sank during a training exercise last month. Instead, he's several hundred miles away at his Doral Golf Club in Miami, taking part in the Live Golf Dinner reception. The president attending the golf tournament over the dignified transfer of U.S. military members shocked and angered many critics. Thousands of Lithuanians once again lined the street, said Matt McDermott, posted online. Trump prioritized golf over the dignified transfer. And it was a sad story. I mean, they're on a training mission and their vehicle went into a peat bog, and it was much deeper than I think that anyone thought it was. And it sank, and very sad. And if you've not followed the story, the Lithuanians, and multiple other countries, our allies who were about to throw a bunch of tariffs on, they basically sent out rescue equipment and stuff to try to get the vehicle out and find the soldiers. Yeah, it very sad story. But Donald Trump, hey, he's got a hobnob with the golfers. He's got a hobnob. Do you know I won my own golf courses tournament? I'm super special. He is just a horrible, horrible human being. He just is. And whether it's his, just attacking the transgender population just because he needs a convenient villain for to turn the bigots against something, or disrespecting the troops again. But I'm miffed. I'm miffed, man. Yeah, I got even more bizarre news. Concerning Trump, because he should be very concerned about what China just did. We'll talk about that when we come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hi, I'm Becca Thompson, and I'm a teacher. Every day I see the challenges our kids face: housing insecurity, public safety concerns, and the cost of living that impacts their families. That's why I'm running for the Minneapolis City Council in Ward 12. I believe Minneapolis should be the best city for kids to grow up in. Caucus for me on April 8th, and let's build a city that puts families and children first. Learn more at votefordbecca.com. That's vote, 4, BECKA.com.
Prepared and paid for by Friends of Becca Thompson 2025.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205. If you didn't catch it last night, the Chinese have struck back. American companies looking to sell the huge Chinese markets have just taken a big hit. A 34% price increase on all U.S. goods entering the country will knock some out of there altogether. This is especially bad for U.S. agricultural producers. They already had a 10 to 15% tariff on their produce entering the China in response to the last round of Trump tariffs. Now, if you add 34% on top, that is probably pricing most of them out of the Chinese market, which is, frankly, the China is hitting us right where they need to. Frankly, they are. The foundation of our economy is the ag sector. And these guys are going to make the ag sector crumble, and on with it goes the rest of the country. Really, it does. Beijing doesn't seem too worried about looking elsewhere for more chicken, pork, and sorghum, and at the same time, it knows it is whacking the U.S. president right in his heartland. Globally, all this has analysts worried. The problem is that supply chains have become so international. Components of any given product could be sourced from all corners of the planet. So when the ripples of economic distress start spreading from country to country, it could have potentially catastrophic consequences for trade. Most concerning is that the world's two greatest economies are now at each other's throats with no indication that either is preparing to back down. Just take the timing of the Beijing announcement. The Chinese government revealed its promised resolute countermeasures to Trump's latest tariffs in a written statement from the finance ministry at 6 p.m. local time on Friday night, which is also a public holiday. The timing could mean several things. It wanted somewhere to bury in the news at home, so not to scare the people there too much. It simply made the announcement as soon as its own calibrations have been finalized. Beijing had given up the hope of using the small window it had before Trump's 54% tariffs on Chinese goods took effect next week. So the government just decided to let it rip. If this is the last of these reasons, then it's pretty bleak news for the global economy. I think it's very okay. So once again, you have the timeline was autos immediately had their 25% tariff. The 10% tariffs kick in on tomorrow by design. And then the extra tariffs, like the stuff they're going to put on China, kicks in on the 9th, if I remember the timeline correctly. This seems to me to be, I mean, if you're, I'm going to just be blunt, you'd better pray that Trump blinks here. Because if Trump blinks, it might save the ag sector. That's not saying it's not going to, I mean, it's already, once again, regardless of whether there are reciprocal tariffs put on American products, the Chinese government can just say, you know what? We're not going to allow your products into our country. Then we just eliminate the problem. And as a matter of fact, the ag sector also took a hit today because that was part of the Chinese announcement. China has suspended and qualified of C&D USA, the qualification of C&D USA Incorporated to export sorghum to China. So basically, one of the largest exporters of sorghum from America into China doesn't have a license to even work in China. It also suspended the qualifications of American Proteins Incorporated, Mountaineer Farms of Delaware, and Darling Ingredients Incorporated, poultry, meat, exporter and a bone meal exporter to China, both of which, those are gone. So sorghum, chicken, and bone meal, all gone. If you, the GAC also said it suspended poultry meat imports from Mountain Air Farms and Coastal Processing after inspectors on several occasions detected the prohibited drug furacilin in imported chicken products. I have no idea what furacilin is. I don't know if it's common to use in chicken products. There's more things in there in some of these meat products than you want to know, but needless to say, they're saying they're detecting it, and that's the case. The above measures are taken by the General Admission of Customs in China are necessary precautions to ensure food safety, and they're reasonable and in line with international norms, said the GAC official. So what they have just done is this. We're not going to necessarily, they're putting their 34% tariffs in, but they're doing something even worse, which is basically saying, oh, you people that import products into China, well, guess what? You don't have a license to do that anymore. So they just basically have just told all the ships sailing to China with sorghum and chicken and bone meal, you're not going to get into our ports. We're not unloading your product. That's it. Which is a far more dangerous route for the American farmer. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that the two biggest ag products which China takes are specifically not included on this list: soybeans and pork. And the reason why is I think they're just letting this digest, and they're looking at Donald Trump and saying, do you really want to do this? Now, I'm not saying, soybeans and pork are definitely going to be, impacted by the 34%, tariff. But basically, I think this is them saying, we'll shut down our borders to your pork and soybeans altogether. You won't get a single product into this country to sell. You won't even be able to subsidize the price of them in this country because we won't allow the product into the country. So your market is gone. Meanwhile, we're going to Brazil and Argentina and Australia and New Zealand and signing new long-term contracts for them to supply us with soybeans and pork. Unless Donald Trump blinks. And yeah, you're a farmer out there. Said this yesterday, said this online today. I'm going to say it again right now. You sat there and watched in 2018 as Donald Trump put tariffs into place, and you all got hurt badly. And it wasn't until Joe Biden came in and resuscitated your markets, to which you thanked him by screaming, let's go, Brandon! Let's go, Brandon! Giggling all the way. Then comes Trump last year, and he sits there and he says, what? I'm going to go and blow up the markets again. Tariffs are a great thing. Tariffs are a wonderful thing. And what did you idiots do? What did you morons do? Yay, tariffs! And then he said it again and again and again and again. And what did you fools do every time? Yay, tariffs! And now all of a sudden he's doing it. And your markets they're not going to be tougher to get into. They're not going to exist. They're gone. You might as well be importing things to Antarctica at this point. Your markets are going to be gone. And all of a sudden you're like, well, this is hurting us. And I'm definitely going to get into this in the 4:00 hour here locally. But all these payments to ag companies that are going to come out, these subsidy checks, this socialism that Republicans hate, but they're going to give all the farmers big checks. They're not going to go to the mid-level and small farmer. Of course not. They're going to go to the super duper wealthy farmer, the Michelle Fishbox out there, whose families each get 6-figure checks from the government. That's who's going to get it. The people that don't really have a farm out there, they've got a display home to make it look like they're big old country people, but they live in the city. Their kids go to private schools. They're only farmers when it's time for a photo op to go out to the old homestead. So whine, complain, bitch, moan, all that, fine. You did this to yourselves, and China's not playing. So, good luck. Rick Smith when we come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
You have a loved one who is not receiving the care that they deserve at their current memory care facility. I'm Aiden Helene, Director of Community Relations here at the Welshire, and I meet with families every single day who are struggling with poor staffing, missed medications, poor personal cares, and an absence of engagement from consistent activities. 85% of our residents at the Welshire are coming from other memory care facilities that could not meet their care needs. Not all memory care is created equally. And if this is something your family is experiencing, I encourage you to come visit our community of well-being and see the Welshire difference, where we promise that your loved one will live with pride and dignity. The Welshire has 24/7 nursing, a robust activities team that provides activities 7 days a week. And when the diagnosis takes a 9-to-5 approach, so will we. Book a tour at welshiremn.com and see our community of well-being in action. That's welshiremn.com. Again, that's welshiremn.com.
Your Need to Know News headquarters, the Tom Hartman Program, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Is your teen or young adult withdrawing, experiencing anxiety, or depressive thoughts? They may need a larger team to care for them. That's where Hazelden Betty Ford comes in. Our team of experts help guide with proven mental health and substance use support. You can trust Minnesota's #1 teen treatment center to help your child thrive. Turn to wegotyou.org to learn more. Hazelden Betty Ford. We Got You. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation and aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
A wonderful Easter is easy with the annual Easter brunch at the Park Tavern. Enjoy Easter ham, roast beef, all your Easter breakfast favorites, all the sides and desserts. Seating's from 10:30 to 3 on Sunday, April 20th, and you need reservations. $24.95 for adults, $19.95 for those 65 and over, and kids 12 and under, and 5 and under are free. And don't forget the hour of free bowling with every reservation. Call 952-929-6810. That's 952-929-6810 on Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park. Easter brunch is fun and easy and waiting for you at the Park Tavern.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hello, I'm Josh Basset. When I was a kid, my single mom worked as a restaurant server, and her union job helped her buy a home right here in Ward 8. Now, my wife and I are raising our family in that same house. I know firsthand how strong communities create opportunity. That's why I'm running for city council in Ward 8. Join me at DFL caucuses on April 8th to build a Minneapolis where everyone thrives. Learn more at joshb4ward8.org.
The preceding message was prepared and paid for by the Neighbors for Josh Committee. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 49. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 28. And Saturday, sunny with a high near 43. Make it a night to remember at Crooner's Supper Club. Incredible live music, 4-star food, handcrafted drinks, and first-class service, all in the classic supper club setting. Don't miss out. Visit croonersmn.com to plan your perfect night out. That's croonersmn.com.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday. Rick Smith is kind enough to join us locally here at AM 950. We air his show at 8 p.m. weeknights. Of course, a voice of the working man, kind enough to join us. And I want to start off, actually, Rick, with a big thank you. Last weekend, we had the 15th anniversary show. You were kind enough to send a very nice, that one surprised me. I was very touched. Thank you very much for the very nice words.
You're a good man, Matt, and one of the people that I love on the radio, and we need more Matt McMillan all across this country. And I'm glad to see that you're thriving. I'm glad to see 15 years of doing this. Good on you, brother.
Thank you, my friend. I wanted to, just before we get into, the chaos that our country has become, obviously you've shared with a lot of people online about what happened with your wife, Carol, and her recovery as it's gone. How about an update? How are things going?
We're doing well. I mean, the reality is we're putting one foot in front of the other, and it's like any traumatic brain injury. It's like any accident like she had. It's going to take time, and we're going to do everything that we need to do to make sure she gets every opportunity to lead something of a functional life. She's never going to be who she was, but we're excited about who she's going to be because, when we left the rehab hospital in the middle of February, they told us she'd never walk again. She's walking. They told us in September, when the accident happened, she wasn't going to live. She lived. She's walking. Everything they tell us she's not going to do, that woman is doing. And I'm proud as it can be of her and our family who have rallied around to give her everything that she needs. And we're fortunate enough. Look, I've said this a million times on my show. My union's health insurance, my union contract has given me the ability to take the time I need to be home, and the insurance, that we get through my union, through the Teamsters Union, is by far second to none, and has given her the opportunity to get everything that we need. In fact, the insurer, our health and welfare fund, actually called the hospital, the rehab hospital, to say, hey, we think you should keep her there longer when you want to discharge her. You don't hear stories like that. No. Again, when I talk about my union and the love for my union, this is one of those things. But no, we've been very fortunate. And to be honest, and I just said this a minute ago, she's doing so well. She's a pain in the backside right now because she's getting so strong that we're having a hard time. We're having a hard time controlling her.
Well, it's all my best to you. I know to you personally. I mean, after I had the car accident, I had my back broken. I remember how much it was going. My wife was under stress as well. So I'm 100% with you, my friend. All my best to you, all your family, and of course to her. As I'm glad to hear her recovery is going, exceeding expectations, to say the least. That is fantastic.
Yeah, one of the things that's really frustrating to me, though, is like many middle class, working class folks, we're not wealthy. And sadly, my wife is going to need constant supervision and care probably for the rest of her life. So we're having to deal with the Medicaid system that I had never thought about before. And when you've got Elon and the Doge ferrets and his puppet Trump cutting $880 billion from Medicaid, it's families like ours who have to jump through enormous obstacles and hoops to potentially get maybe something down the road in the event that she needs it. This vital safety net that was there to protect folks, especially the elderly, the very sick, and the poor, to see the richest guy in the world championing a chainsaw and talking about it's infuriating, Matt, and it's just another example of how bad this administration has absolutely been, and it's only going to get worse.
I spent the first part of this show talking about the ag sector and just how the Chinese their tariffs are targeting it like a freaking precision strike here. Let's move over to the workers, the unions, the auto industry. This is a nightmare scenario. I mean, we do have a much more global market and community. Us just shutting it down for the rest of the world, this is going to have detrimental effects on all of us here.
No, look, I wrote over at my Progressive Voices Network Substack page contribution. I said, look, our idiot has a hammer. My grandfather said any idiot with a hammer can tear down a house. It takes a skilled craftsman to build one. I am not an anti-tariff person. I heard your rant, and I understand it. I'm not an anti-tariff person. I'm an anti-using it like this person. This is the dumbest way you could possibly use the tool of tariffs. And I fear we never use that again in protecting industries that are vital to our national security and our future. We've just boogered it up for the next 100 years, if you will, because he's done this so badly, as I think everyone, or I and everyone that I know, thought he would.
Yeah. Well, and it's we had tariffs in place, and because you're right. I mean, we had a system in place. I was listening to someone do an analysis of Bangladesh specifically, and he says, does he understand that the people of Bangladesh don't have money? And so the idea that we should be able to send Harley Davidsons over and they're all just going to buy a Harley Davidson, he doesn't see. You have to have a nuanced hand that approaches every country or every trade group specifically, and markets and hones, works with the other side, saying what do you want to protect, what do you want to protect, and do that. That's common factor. I mean, Biden did it, Reagan did it, all the presidents did it. He is exactly, your hammer to a house is an absolute perfect scenario. He doesn't understand the nuance of any of this. He's making up numbers to make things tried to make things look like it's much more dire. And what, 2,200 points off the Dow. I mean, we can talk about that. How many people are in the retirement age right now who all of a sudden just watch their investments lose, a quarter of their value?
Yeah, no, it's bad. But a part of me goes, this was the plan. Because if you remember back in 2008, Trump was talking about, hey, I love when that happens because I get to buy low because they know it'll come back eventually. And this is what the very wealthy do. This is a way to extract wealth from working class people. And I think this was all part of the game plan. I think this is all part of, this isn't about trade. This is about bullying. This is about loyalty. This is about, getting some small thing for him. And I think he said it best. He doesn't really care who this hurts. This is his tool. He's got his hammer, man. And again, I go back to, and I want to be very clear. I am not an anti-tariff person. I think with the right strategy and the right goals, I think it is a valuable tool. But it's one that I think has just been horribly misused here. And I fear, as I said, we never use this again, or at least not in the right way.
Well, Biden understood it. Yep. He was actually really good at it. I mean, he really did.
No, this is exactly right. I mean, Biden was doing the things that we needed him to do. And I think in 50 years, we're going to look back at Biden and go, hey, that was an opportunity to have a transformational moment. We were moving away from neoliberalism. We were talking about reshoring manufacturing. We were investing in our country. We were doing all the right things. And we were pushing back where we were supposed to. Look, we're never bringing T-shirt production back. We're not going to bring, high labor, low-cost labor jobs back. That's not going to happen. But those things that we base our economy on, those auto jobs, the steel production jobs, the things that, our national security should care about, that we desperately need to hold on to.
The one thing historically, when you looked at this, and because there have been really, in the last 100+ years, 3 times, including this one right now, where where tariffs have been misused,
right? And
it's come back badly. McKinley, when he was a House rep, the 1890 Tariff Act, which ended up annihilating the Republicans, in the next few election cycles. Of course, you go to Hoover, and the mistakes, the disastrous mistakes he made, which ended up flipping the House and the Senate to the Democrats, and of course led to FDR. There's a lot of people that have pointed to this and said, there's no quick way out of this. And that's the problem, is that you're looking at a ripple effect event that in a year and a half, there's still going to be people paying an exorbitant amount more for certain things. That doesn't go away. That's kitchen table issues. That's bread and butter.
Yeah.
At the one side of it, I mean, and granted, the modern Democratic Party could screw this up, but at the same time, I do have faith that they might be able to take this and be able to use this to say, see, this is what we told you was going to happen. Let's fix this and fix this now.
No, and look, this is where Democrats, I've been saying, look, they need to adopt a Republican district. They need to go into those districts and listen to those voters. There's an opportunity to reach out to working class voters who want something done. The pain is real. The community suffering is real. This is an opportunity for Democrats. And what I said on election night is, look, when Trump won, I said the reality is the solutions for the future, the solutions to our problems will come from the suffering caused by their savagery. And they are showing how savage they are in every policy that they're moving forward. And we're going to have to live through some rough years. We're going to have to live through some pain, because it's the only time, Matt, and maybe you'll agree, it's the only time in this country that people actually come together is when there's some kind of mass catastrophe. The last time I can think of that we were united as a nation was 9/11. The economic collapse of 08 and 09, that didn't bring us together. To me, a massive economic collapse that I think we're heading towards could be that thing that brings us together. Now, you got to have the solutions. This is where Democrats have to step forward and say, he badly used these tariffs. We've got a way of strategically using this to reshore manufacturing, to bring back good jobs, to make communities whole. And I'm hoping that's the best I can do, because I'm not seeing it yet.
Well, you, as you explained, you're having a front row seat on Medicare, Medicare, Social Security. The damage that he's doing there. I mean, and when we're talking about a workforce, those are things that are either, for our workers right now or for the workers when they get their well-earned retirement. Yeah, I mean, do you feel as if the damage that's being done to these organizations can be undone? Or if it's 2 years and Republicans just sitting there on their hands doing nothing to try to stop this and shore up these systems, is it basically going to be too little too late? And we're going to get to a point where, like Britain, where they couldn't really undo the austerity that was done by the Tories over there.
Yeah, I see. I'm a little more optimistic because I believe. I believe in that, American ingenuity. I believe that we can solve problems once we find our way back to the middle of the street. Once we get off the sidewalks throwing things at each other and get in the middle of the street, I think we can figure this out. Once the red hats realize that, oops, our savior wasn't. Maybe there's an opportunity to bring people back together and say, look, what do we want? We do want Social Security because overwhelmingly the polls are very clear. People want that anti-poverty program in place for when they get to their golden years. When we start seeing people dying because they're not getting the care that they need. Look, I've got a lot of disabled listeners who are going, look, they're coming at me right now. And I'm not going to go quietly. We need to see those stories. We need to hear those stories. And we need to, on the other side, when this happens, we need to have the solutions that are going to move us forward. And I do think that we will find our way.
I think it's, as you say, with those red hats, when all those hats are upside down and everyone's looking for help, when we're all selling apples or we're all selling pencils a la 1931, 32, when we have Hoover towns, only they're Trump towns on the outskirts of every city in this country, then yeah, that's when you realize that the suffering is universal, and that's when change happens.
Well, it's like the old labor saying, your stomach, your head gets right when your stomach's empty. So maybe we have to go through this. And I've been saying for a long time, the only time we come back together, the only time we really unite is when there's mass suffering and pain, and no one escapes its wrath.
One last quick question for you here. The people are just saying we'll bring back the American manufacturing base. If I was to go into your standard abandoned auto plant right now, what's the fastest we could turn around any of those plants to get them up to production speed?
As I understand right now, the plants that are operational in this moment are only operating at 65% of capacity. They could easily ramp up production right now. And I think that's what Sean Fain said here recently. They could increase production fairly quickly. This is why my concern about what Trump has done, there was no planning in this. There's no plan B. You've now shut off all of these different avenues. We don't have the ability in this moment to produce everything that we need. So this was really poorly thought out, poorly executed, as you knew he would do.
Yeah.
But for me, and again, I go back to this, I'm a big supporter of domestic production for domestic consumption. I think the things that we want and need, we can produce. But it's going to take time. It took 20 years to get here. You don't flip that switch back on after 20 years.
Rick Smith, the Rick Smith Show airs locally here on AM 950 at 8 p.m. tonight. Of course, we'll make sure I post all the links to your show as well. All my best to you, to Carol. Thank you very much, Rick. I appreciate the time.
Congrats, Matt. Thanks so much.
Rick Smith joining us. We'll take a break, come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
With Donald Trump in office, blue cities like Minneapolis have a real opportunity to show what effective Democratic governance looks like. But we need the right leaders. 90% of the time, the DFR city council candidate wins in November. That's why the caucus matters. It's your chance to decide what kind of Democrat represents our party. Minneapolis needs leaders focused on safety, affordability, and opportunity, proving blue cities can be a model for Democrats. Yet, only 2% of registered voters participate, and often their views don't reflect the majority of Democrats. But they show up because they know it's the most important way to support their candidate. This year on April 8th, be part of the change you want in your city and party. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. If you care about public safety, city leadership, and the future of Minneapolis, you need to be at the caucuses. Visit WeLoveMPLS.org today to learn how easy it is to caucus. Show up, speak out, take action.
Paid for by We Love Minneapolis, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
I'm Lydia Millard, and I know that when businesses shut down and safety declines, people lose faith. In Minneapolis, this is why we need new leadership for Ward 10. I'll bring everyone to the table to create a place where small businesses thrive, where neighborhoods feel safe, and where housing solutions make sense. I'm not a career politician. I'm one for you. Join me at the DFL caucuses on April 8th at 7 p.m. and let's rebuild our community together. Learn more at LydiaMillard, Ward10.com.
Prepared and paid for by the campaign fund of Lydia Millard, Ward 10.
Public safety doesn't stop at emergency response. It means stable housing, open communication, and support for your neighbors facing hard times. I'm Marcus Jones. As your next council member, I'll bring practical, calm leadership rooted in service. We'll invest in long-term safety and work toward affordable housing that keeps families together. I'm not running for headlines. I'm running for results. Let's build a safer, stronger Ward 9 together. Visit MarcusJones.com and get involved and attend your local caucus on April 8th.
This advertisement was paid for by Marcus Jones, candidate for Ward 9 of Minneapolis City Council.
Progressive change doesn't just happen. It takes dedication and a lot of hard work. 25 years ago, the Data Bank pioneered a new generation of software tools for progressive organizations here in Minnesota. Since then, thousands of organizations have used the Data Bank to create progressive change. Today, the Data Bank continues to help progressive organizations like AM 950. To have the Data Bank help your organization build capacity and create more change, text change to 612-540-0500 or go to thedatabank.com. The Data Bank, a quarter century of dedication and hard work for progressive organizations.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. It is hard when you look at the amount of stuff that is going on at all levels. I mean, Dr. Oz got that is basically being confirmed as the director of Medicaid Medicare. And he's already you think Medicaid Advantage. Matter of fact, where was that story? I have that story here. Rural hospital leaders are questioning whether they continue to afford to do business with Medicare Advantage companies. And some say the only way to maintain services and protect patients is to end their contracts with the private insurers. Medicare Advantage plans pay hospitals lower rates than traditional Medicare, said Jason Merkley, CEO of Brookings Health System in South Dakota. Merkley, who's worried that the losses would spark layoffs and cuts to patient services. So last year, Brookings Health dropped all 4 contracts it had with major Medicare Advantage companies. I've had a lot of discussions with CEOs and executive teams across the country in regards to that, said Merkley, whose health system operates a hospital and clinics in the small city of Brookings and the surrounding rural communities. Merkley said other rural hospital operators in recent years have enumerated a long list of concerns about the publicly funded private-run health plans. In addition to the reimbursement issue, their complaints include payment delays and resistance to authorizing patient care. But rural hospitals abandoning the Medicare Advantage contracts could leave local patients without nearby in-network providers or force them to scramble to switch coverage. Medicare is the main federal health insurance program for people 65 and older. Participants can enroll in traditional government-run Medicare or a Medicare Advantage plan run by a private insurance company. In 2024, 56% of urban Medicare recipients were enrolled in a private plan, according to a report by the Medicare Payment Advisory Commission, a federal agency that advises Congress. While just 47% of rural recipients enroll in a private plan, the Medicare Advantage has expanded more quickly in rural areas. Everything I hear about Medicare Advantage seems to be far more negative than positive. Dr. Oz has said he's wanted to privatize Medicaid and Medicare. The reason why Medicare Advantage isn't an absolute complete disaster, and it's pretty much there, but it's not a complete one, is because actual Medicare still exists. That Medicare existing prevents them from doing what they want to do, which is returning us to the days of pre-Affordable Care Act, where you can pay your insurance company, and at the end of the day, they say, well, we're not going to cover your health insurance costs. Thank you very much. But hey, you still owe us money. And suing people and getting the money from them for the insurance coverage that they refuse to give them. Because their argument is, it's not our fault that we denied them the coverage. Exactly. You've also had with the three-headed dragon that's there between Trump, his stooge that he's running the vaccine study with, and Oz, people who argue that really it's not about, we shouldn't be looking at Medicaid, Medicare. We should be looking at personal choices, and that if you're obese, that's on you. Henceforth, why is the government, trying to help you out? I mean, that's I'm paraphrasing, but not by much. Meanwhile, Brainworm McGee over there is suggesting once again that the measles is easily fought by, rolling yourself in a pit of measles and just taking a bunch of vitamin A, which, by the way, there have been multiple emergency room visits in Texas where the measles outbreak is now, of people who are mass consuming vitamin A, and it's actually making them sick in different ways. I mean, it's stuff like this. I mean, there's just so much going on out there that this is everything I said it was going to be. And MAGA people screamed during the election, "No, he's not." And then after he got elected, after they got done self-gratifying, they basically said, Matt, he might do it, but it's not going to be bad. And then about January of this year, I really hope he's not planning on doing what he said he is going to do, that I applauded and voted for him saying he was going to do. And now today, guess what? Yeah, that's right. All those Trump fans, I don't know where you got the idea. I was 100% on board with this. This is really going to hurt. I have been somewhat stunned since, because I've done a lot of time in radio in rural America. I did 2 stints in Iowa, 1 in southern Wisconsin, 1 in northern Minnesota. And I got to know what the ag sector was like, and got to do, kind of get a look at how the ag sector works. And the idea, I have to admit, I am, on one side, I am shocked to the core at how lethal China is already getting with our ag markets, which we won't be able to necessarily come back from in quick form. But at the same time, I have to admit, I don't know what to say to you, because here is my fear. Say the Democrats do step up and help you out, and I'll vote to help you out, and say the case. You're just going to immediately, because the Republicans are going to look at you after, and once again, let's make sure we understand what the process is going to be. The Democrats will get through and push through a bill to help out the ag sector, while every Republican screams about, how dare you do this massive government handout? And then the minute it's passed, every Republican will say, I did that. Even though I voted against it, that was still my idea. I deserve all the credit. A la Pete Stauber up in Minnesota 8, taking credit for Joe Biden's infrastructure bill. And what happens? Do you guys use your effing brains at all and say, wait, no, you voted against this. That's not you. This was Joe Biden. This was the Democrats. No, you don't. You just go, let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. So a large part of me says, screw you. I hate saying it like this, but what's the point of helping you if all you're going to do? I mean, you shot yourself in the foot once before in the Trump first term, and you said, hey, give me that gun and put another bullet in it. I got another leg. That's on you guys, man. That's on you. Chicago, Seattle, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next. I love my Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota for one simple reason. I can depend on them. You know they keep you safe, and they're incredibly reliable, fuel-efficient, comfortable, and stylish. The Consumer Report's Best of 2025 edition has 10 Toyotas as best buys in affordability. Toyotas are some of Consumer Report's highest-rated certified pre-owned vehicles, and Rudy Luther Toyota's service department is the one place I take my Sienna for all of its maintenance needs. Toyotas are fantastic vehicles because they're fantastic vehicles. See for yourself at Rudy Luther Toyota off of 394 in Golden Valley.
I'm Brian Strawn, and I'm running for City Council in Ward 1 because it's time to roll up our sleeves and get back to basics. Safe neighborhoods, thriving local communities, and city services that actually work. I'm a designer and a builder, and I'll bring that same hands-on mindset to City Hall. Practical, people-first leadership. Caucus for me on April 8th, and let's build a city that works from the bottom up. Learn more at brianstrawn.org. That's Brian, STRAHAN.org.
Prepared and paid for by the Strawn for Ward 1 Committee.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. The closing bell has sounded on Wall Street, and for the second straight day, there are steep losses. It comes as China answers back to big tariffs from President Trump. On the floor of the Senate, Michigan Democrat Gary Peters says 401k plans are taking a hit.
There are folks out there right now who are being forced to have real, hard conversations about whether they can even retire as they had planned, or are they going to need to keep working a little longer? And let's be clear, it's because of Donald Trump.
Congress has the power to halt the president's tariffs, but Republicans in Congress aren't ready to use that power. A judge has blocked the Trump administration from dismantling a U.S. agency that funds community groups in Latin American countries. President Trump abruptly fired the National Security Agency's chief.
Officials and lawmakers say the president let go of Air Force General Tim Hawk, who also ran U.S. Cyber Command. Neither the White House nor the Pentagon gave any reason. It's the president's latest dismissal of national security officials, from the Joint Chiefs Chairman on down. This comes after far-right activist Laura Loomer appeared to take credit for the firing, saying on social media she questioned Hawk's loyalty to the president. On Air Force One last night, the president says security firings are normal.
People that we don't like, or people that we don't think can do the job, or people that may have loyalties to somebody else.
The Senate Armed Services Panel's top Democrat says the president's given China, Russia, and other adversaries a priceless gift by purging national security competence. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Former Washington Catholic Cardinal Theodore McCarrick has died. He was defrocked in 2019 after a Vatican investigation determined he sexually molested adults and children. McCarrick was 94. This is AP News.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Uptown used to be thriving. Now, too many businesses have closed and people don't feel safe. I'm Lydia Millard, a lifelong Minneapolis resident and a working person who understands that city services must work for the people. I'll tackle crime, create real housing solutions, and bring new life to our business corridors. Let's move forward with new Ward 10 leadership. Caucus for me on April 8th at 7 p.m. More at LydiaMillardWard10.com.
Prepared and paid for by the campaign fund of Lydia Millard, Ward 10.
Live and share mental health with Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. Hello, everyone. We are Becky McNatten and Tara Martini, hosts of Feels Out Loud, a show dedicated to expanding the paradigm of mental health.
Tune in to develop both personal and relational insight, language on emotions, and daily life application.
Join us weekly as we explore topics connected to mental wellness, each Sunday at 9 a.m. here on AM 950. Be a part of our mission to connect this world more authentically and fully with one another.
Hi, it's Penny from Nightingale in Minneapolis. Since 2012, we've been your go-to dining spot near 26th and Lyndale in South Minneapolis. Indulge in classics like our scallops, steak tartare, Nightingale burger, and the irresistible chocolate pot de creme. Chef Carrie keeps it fresh with seasonal dishes. We have craft cocktails and curated wines for anyone's taste. And Mondays mean half-price wine bottles. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with the full menu until midnight. Join us at Nightingale where good times and great flavors come together.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 49. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 28. And Saturday, sunny with a high near 43. Make it a night to remember at Crooner's Supper Club. Incredible live music, 4-star food, handcrafted drinks, and first-class service, all in the classic supper club setting. Don't miss out. Visit croonersmn.com to plan your perfect night out. That's croonersmn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show. Matt and Patrick here on your Friday. We got some music coming up for you as well. Good to have you with us today. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Have you seen the comedians, the Sklar brothers, rip apart our Como Zoo?
I have not. I haven't actually heard those names in a long time.
They actually have they had some time off and they went to the Como Zoo and they're like, it said Como is Italian for how, as in how is this a zoo? Is it you go down, you compared it to the Minnesota Zoo because this zoo is like go around back, it's around back, go around the back. I'm offended by this. I find the Como Zoo to be fantastic. But there are some times that even their own press releases need a little bit of maybe clarification. Visitors to the Como Park Zoo and Conservatory were given an unexpected treat this week when one of its resident sloths gave birth while on display. Now, do they understand what the term treat means? I don't. Aghast, shocked, stunned, sickened. I don't know what word you want to go with there, but treat is probably not one of them. Indeed, I'm going to guess this was a long labor process. It was a sloth. Never mind. The St. Paul Zoo announced this week that its Hoffman's two-toed sloth, Sago, gave birth on Wednesday while guests were present at the zoo's primate building. Sago was brought to the zoo April of 2023. A month later, the baby's sloth's father, Ziggy, was brought in as a pair of breeding recommendation by the American Association of Zoos and Aquarium Species Survival Plan. I have no idea what the status of the Hoffman's two-toed sloth is in the wild, but apparently if they're letting them get freaky in the zoo, there's not many of them. The two parents reside with the Saki monkeys, and I'm sure they were just delighted by the birthing experience. In an exhibit in the primate building, Sago and her baby will remain on display while she'll continue to care for her young for around a year, according to the zoo. Does a young sloth move fast? You know how like young kids today, you get a little sugar in them and off they go. Is that what is the sloth going to move a lot as a baby? We couldn't have planned a more exciting experience for our guest yesterday, said zookeeper Jill Erzad in a statement. I noticed you didn't quote any of the guests. Guests were reported saying, okay. It's not every day you're going to see a sloth being born right in front of you. No, it's nor is it something that I really had on my bucket list. It was truly a special moment. Sago is really ready to be a fantastic first-time mom. Yeah, I'm sure she was thrilled too about the viewer portal. Come on. You know that they allow the giraffes to get as freaky as they want to over there at Como because those giraffes are like the most successful breeding pair of giraffes in the country. and and you cannot import a new giraffe, but you can get a baby giraffe. And we are like, there are Minnesota Como Zoo giraffes across the country right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
I want to see that birth? No. I hope you have a catcher's mitt or something, because they're a tall creature.
That almost sounds like it would be worse than the sloth. Like, how does that come out of that?
I don't think I really need to go. I mean, the circle of life stuff here, it's there are people. It's like you should go to a farm and let them see the birthing experience. And I don't even like when I see the chickens kind of pecking out of their eggs. It's okay, good enough.
That's why we have the Miracle of Birth Center over at the State Fair. Let's just keep it there.
Yeah. And I don't know, will they have a sloth entry this year? Or will it just go? We'll hopefully we'll hit that window. I mean, it is a sloth. I don't need to see that. I do not see. I do like the eagle cam. Have you seen the eagle cam with the baby eagles?
I have.
I don't mind it. You know why? Because you don't really see them. They're underneath. Every once in a while, they get up, take a look down. Yep, still there, and off they go. And they fly off, get a fish, and then bring back a fish, and it's like, hey, fish. That's my kind of thing. I don't need to see. We got a camera jammed right up in there for IMAX. Here we go. Como is also home to another Hoffman's two-toed sloth, Chloe, who resides in the Tropical Encounters exhibit. When I first read this story, I thought that was because that sloth is basically unchained. It is in the tree. Have you been in that building over there?
I don't think so.
It's just there in a tree. There's no fence. There's nothing. I mean, it's a sloth. I mean, if it charges, I mean, you have more than enough time to amble out of the place. The sloth looks like it's coming for us. Well, let's just conveniently stroll out of here then. But no, that was not, thankfully, that it wasn't like a like a flume ride at the zoo. I mean, they did have it behind glass, so thank goodness there was no splash zone on this exhibit. Dear Lord. Yeah, I'm sure I mean, there are kids right now in the Twin Cities Metro who are like in the fetal position on the ground in their bedrooms going, because they saw it. But hey, nice job, Como Zoo. Good job. 952-946-6205. I will say this about this. As those guys went after the Como Zoo, I will say there was one experience I had at the Como Zoo, which I will never forget for as long as I live. If you know the cat area, there's a lower trail to the cat area that goes through the building and comes around, but then there's a higher trail that you can kind of go up and look into some of these, like the puma cage and the snow leopard cage. You can see those. So I'm up on that. And they have, like, every 5 feet a sign that says, for God's sakes, don't feed the cats, right? And there's this kid throwing popcorn into, because the native food of a snow leopard is popcorn. They're throwing popcorn into the cage. And I lean over to the kid and I said, son, I don't think we're supposed to be putting the food in there. And here comes St. Paul mom, comes over. It's like, hey, Jimmy, you keep throwing the popcorn in there. You see, the kitty likes it. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. This was not, I wasn't here to, okay. Well, thank God you made that point. And, I'm going to guess that snow leopard died of heart disease a while back. But, yeah, what can you do? 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So I want to, our state is going to get hurt and hurt badly by Donald Trump. And like I said last hour, on to these MAGA guys that voted for him who are farmers, I don't quite know what to say to you, because you shot yourself in the foot once and then you eagerly reloaded the gun. And here you are, you shot your other foot. And now you're going to be sitting there like, you guys need to think about me. No, I have a hard time. I can tell you one thing that is a little bit of a concern. there have been multiple large operation corporate farmers who have very quickly said, well, as long as Donald Trump issues us some more checks, we should get through this okay. Even before the impacts of these tariffs really kicked in, they were already finagling for their checks. And I want to make sure we understand, and I've talked about this extensively, the economic makeup of rural America as it is right now. Most of these communities, the real power lies within a handful of these corporate farms who generally get six-figure subsidies from the government in a good year anyway. And basically, the whole point is, well, we'll keep giving this to Republicans because they're going to keep sending us this money. And they control the political narrative of the community, even though the vast majority of the people there are hurt by Republican policies. Take a look at this little mess we've got going on. Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, job layoffs. I mean, the amount of federal workers in rural communities that just got laid off is insane. I'll get to that a little bit later on as well. And I've said, we are light years away from the heydays of these small towns across America and rural America. And even when I worked in rural America, these towns are a hollow shell of what they used to be, even when I was there in the 90s. Now it's as I've said, is you might have a restaurant, you probably have one bar, you have a co-op, and you might have a gas station. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Rural America has been killed by Republican policy. And here it is again. But you wonder how in the world, as much pain is happening, what is going on? Well, you're seeing it. I mean, they're telling you to their face what they're going to do. The big corporate farms, I mean, these are the ones that are out there, they got the stunning looking barn and the immaculate yard. They're not there. Their kids go to private school in the cities. Their kids go to private schools in Sioux Falls or in Fargo or in Minneapolis or in Rochester. They live in the suburbs. They've got a big house in the suburbs, and they don't go to the farm but for photo ops. I mean, the maybe one or two of the parents might go out to the farm maybe once or twice a week, maybe once a month, just to see how things are going out there. But the reality is these farms, there hasn't been the local farmer there because they're corporations. They bought up all their neighbors' farms. They basically have the other farmers working as managers for the other farmers that are working for them. It's a corporate process. Some of that's even controlled by large corporations in major cities. The money doesn't go to the local community. Have you ever asked the question of how in the world the federal government keeps giving out all this farm subsidy money, and yet it doesn't ever seem to trickle down to the local school district or the local hospital or the local community? The reason why is that the farmers that are getting it, they don't even freaking live in your community anymore. That goes into their retirement accounts. That goes into their bank accounts in the cities. Now, they're concerned because they still have a product to sell. And guess what? China just said, we're going to stop taking your product on, on sorghum and chicken and bone meal. And also increase the tariffs to at least 46%, I think it is, on all other products from the USA, which is already going to mean there's going to be a massive hit to the pork industry and to the soybean industry, two large here in America, in Minnesota, I should say. But you see, as the Trump supporters who are wealthy, they're already negotiating for, I think we need a $6 million check for my farm. I think I need $4.5 million, $5 million. I need $7 million for my farm. And guess how much money is going to be left over for you, the mid-level farmer, the small farmer? How much money is going to be left over for you? Nothing. Because the reality is, part of what they're doing is starving you out so they can buy your farm so you can punch a clock to do the same work you're doing right now for the large corporate farmer. While they go live in their suburban house, send their kids to private school, and drive around to the country club. Like I said, they show up to their showcase farm during harvest season to put on brand new flannel shirts and jeans and sit there with their leg up on the fence post looking like, I work this farm just like my grandpapa. Ah! Please. They show up at harvest time and they'll have the kids carrying some pumpkins. We just got these. Yeah, not for you got them at the store. You didn't get them off your farm. And these are the guys that are speed dialing in Tom Emmer and Michelle Fishbach and Opie down in 1 and Pete Stubby up in 8. They're the guys that are speed dialing them and saying, I'm the wealthy farmer that basically bankrolls your campaigns. And I do my part here by keeping the local farmers in line, calling them commies if they support a Dem. But you better get me my $6 or $7 million check right now. And of course, all those Republicans who are fiscally responsible. We have to help out. And how will they frame it? How will they frame the argument? We need to help out the ma and pa farmer. Probably showing a picture of a cute little farm that's not going to get any money whatsoever. Might as well, why don't you just show them the real picture of the farmer that you're going to support? The guy who's living in Lake Minnetonka, living on the lake out there in their boat. Here's the farmer that's getting our money. The farmer that the farmer that lives in a high residential, a high-end neighborhood in Bloomington or in Woodbury. Here's their suburban house. Help support them. Nope, you guys are all about to get screwed. But here is the sad part, is that I already know what's going to happen. Large corporate farms, they're going to get all those big checks. Republicans are going to be sitting there saying, we helped out the farmer. And 90% of you are not going to see a damn dime. And yet it never stops you from saying, thank God that the Republicans helped us. When the Republicans didn't even help you. It was the Democrats that gave you the money. And when your farm is being sold, I have a hard time believing you'll be saying anything. Well, thank God Donald Trump's president. I can only imagine how much worse it would be. How much worse it'd be? You're losing everything. How many months can you go? Your margins are tight as a farmer. Well, if you're not a corporate farmer getting 6-figure checks like Michelle Fishbach's family is getting, if you're not a corporate farmer, if your margins are tight, you're probably working 2-3 other jobs, trying to find any work you can so you can afford health insurance. How many months you got? If Donald Trump is not blinking, and I can tell you right now, if by the 9th, when the rest of these tariffs go in, if Trump has not pulled back on these, the next step is China just saying, you know what, we're just not going to send you, you can't send us any pork or soybeans. There's not going to be any tariffs. We're just not going to allow you to import any of them. We're not going to allow them in here. And as much as Donald Trump can rump around and say this, the truth is, there goes the U.S. economy, because the foundation of the U.S. economy is our ag sector. And if we can't sell to China at all, it's only a matter of months before this country really tumbles, not into a recession, but into a full-fledged depression. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Good story out of the Reformer today about farming. I'll get to that here in a second. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our local leaders. How do you reward your employees? How do you appreciate your business partners? Thousands of local organizations just like yours count on Minuteman Uptown for promotional products. We craft custom awards and plaques. We print your logo on apparel, office supplies, and thousands of other items. Minuteman Uptown helps you reward employees and stay top of mind with customers and vendors. We print everything. Contact us today at mpuptown.com.
You want to feel important. You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and that can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We felt that way too. I am Sergeant First Class David Crow from Farmington, Minnesota, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Minnesota Army National Guard soldiers. We are people just like you, and together we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit nationalguard.com/MN to find out more. Sponsored by the Minnesota Army National Guard, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm Brian Strawn, and I'm running for City Council in Ward 1 because it's time to roll up our sleeves and get back to basics. Safe neighborhoods, thriving local communities, and city services that actually work. I'm a designer and a builder, and I'll bring that same hands-on mindset to City Hall. Practical, people-first leadership. Caucus for me on April 8th, and let's build a city that works from the bottom up. Learn more at brianstrawn.org. That's Brian, STRAHAN.org.
Prepared and paid for by the Strawn for Ward 1 Committee.
Hey, it's Patrick. Spring showers may bring May flowers, but they also bring big savings with Zero Res. And right now, you can beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. Zero Res removes winter's buildup and lingering odors, giving your home a fresh, spring-ready feel, preparing your home for the brighter days ahead. Just check out the almost 21,000 raving customer service reviews online with a 4.9 Google rating and see what all the hype is about. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner starting at just $119 and take $75 off an air duct cleaning as well. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res right now at 9520-RES or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Spell it backward or forward, it's the same. Zero Res.
This is an interesting stat. This is the 4th worst back-to-back day in the history of the Dow Jones in American history. The 2-day combined minus 8.65% loss. Almost 10% of the Dow disappeared in 2 days. Only trailing to 29 crash, the 87 Black Monday, and the 2008 crisis, as those were the worst times. And this was done intentionally by Donald Trump. And by the way, it's this other post. This is up on Blue Sky. Fox News is not showing their stock market ticker during this week's collapse. Its economic news is strong jobs report. And basically the entire time today, all their coverage has been is illegal immigrants are committing new crimes, basically. So they're completely ignoring it. One thing you should not ignore is the hands-off rally at the Minnesota State Capitol tomorrow, Saturday, April 5th. Now, I want to be honest about Republicans. You could have 1 million people in the streets in St. Paul, and I don't think most of the Republican politicians would care. But in conjunction with all of their bankrollers saying, where'd all my money go? A big showing will actually have a lot there. It's the fact that this is an opportunity. This is why I'm going to say, if you can get out there, get out there. Because they're getting, I guarantee you, every Republican, because once again, the Republicans don't care about their own districts. When did any Republican today did an emergency ag bill where they said we got to deal with these Chinese tariffs? Did any Republican today talk about we've got to stop and save Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security? Any Republican today say about we got to save the schools in our district? No, of course not. They're probably talking about transgender athletes. That's all they care about. But with the economy crashing as bad as it has, and it's been crashing, I guarantee you there's a lot of investors saying, okay, where's Donald Trump going with this? You better not let this happen. And so they're getting pressure from that side. And if all of a sudden they look out on the Capitol steps and they see 1 million people in downtown St. Paul, well, that's going to do something. So noon tomorrow, it's the 50-51, the Indivisible Twin Cities and Women's March Minnesota, all putting it at the Hands Off rally. Saturday, April 5th. Bring a jacket. It's going to be a little chilly tomorrow. You're going to have Melvin Carter there. I do like Melvin Carter. Betty McCollum's going to be there. Aaron Murphy's going to be there. Emma Greenman's going to be there. Community leaders, some storytellers, some performers. Perez Vega's going to be there. God, I love her. I love her. Katie Vernon's going to be there. That's good. Love that too. That's good fun. Local coalition, including Minnesota 50-51, Indivisible Twin Cities, and Women's March Minnesota, organizing Hands Off Minnesota. State Capitol tomorrow at noon. Get out there. Seriously. And like I said, I mean, I think most Republicans generally do not care about protests. But I think in conjunction, they're hearing it now. They're hearing it from the farmers. They're hearing it from their investors. They're hearing it from everyone else. And if all of a sudden they're terrified to walk outside in St. Paul because, this is a mess. That's how you change things. So there you go. And by the way, and I want to make sure it's April of 2025. Your intensity today has to be triple that intensity come October and November of next year. It just has to be. You cannot sit there next year and say, well, I already protested, because next year they're going to be able to reinvent their narrative and go from there. So there you go. Get out there, help out if you can. Protest. I know a lot of people are going over there. I'll probably head over there myself. Make your voice heard. State Capitol tomorrow at noon. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Tell you what, I'm going to take a break now. Come on back. We'll get into the story about the ag sector in Minnesota and talk a little bit about that, as well as also some music to end out your week. It is the Matt, and it's new music from Dury, and I love those guys. I got to get Austin on the air before too long. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Friday.
Walking a road. When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
Everyone wants to maximize their dollar. If you're looking for a new vehicle, the only place to go is Rudy Luther Toyota. Consumer Reports Best of 2025 edition has the most reliable vehicles as Toyotas. The Toyota Corolla, RAV4, and RAV4 Prime top the list of the most reliable cars. And Toyotas are fuel efficient, meaning less money at the pumps. Consumer Reports Best of gas mileage ranking has the Prius Camry, Corolla Cross Hybrid, RAV4 Hybrid, and the Highlander Hybrid top of their classes. Reliability and fuel efficiency, you'll find them both at Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 49. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 28. And Saturday, sunny with a high near 43. Make it a night to remember at Crooner's Supper Club. Incredible live music, 4-star food, handcrafted drinks, and first-class service, all in the classic supper club setting. Don't miss out. Visit croonersmn.com to plan your perfect night out. That's croonersmn.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, it should be noted, and when I brought up that point about the Dow Jones collapsing for 2 days, this fourth worst 2-day stretch it's ever had, that's worse than anything that happened in the pandemic. I mean, you have to go back to 2008. That was the last time everything crashed like that. Then it was 87. Then it was 1929. And there were other runs. It just never, what it is it's the same thing. I mean, almost every time it's greed. People get greedy and they avoid the warning signs and things collapse. And yeah, that's the epitome of Trump, isn't it? Oh, I mean, if the EU, I'm going to suspect the EU on Sunday is going to announce their tariffs on us. And I'm going to expect the markets to even fall even further. I think it's going to be another 2,000, 3,000, maybe hopefully not a 3,000 point fall. But if the EU retaliates, yeah, it's going to get ugly. Anna Pisek saw a federal program supporting local food purchases as much more than a boost to her Iowa pork and poultry farm. The U.S. Department of Agriculture grant program that allowed schools and food banks to buy fresh products from small farms helped her forge new business relationships. It allowed her to spend more with local feed mills and butchers. It was starting to build a stronger supply chain of local foods. But now that the Trump administration has yanked the funding, she worries that rural economic boost might end too. With the razor-thin margins on both sides, those partnerships are just really hard. It's not impossible to sustain, if not impossible to sustain, she said. The co-owner of Over the Moon Farm, Pesek, said her operation was never entirely reliant on the local food programs. It represented about 10% of her business. While she knew the federal money wouldn't last forever, she was planning on the funding lasting at least through 2028. But then the Trump administration last month nixed more than $1 billion in local food aid programs. The federally funded local food purchase assistance and the local food for schools program, both begun during the pandemic, focused on small local farms and aims of building stronger domestic food supply chains. Grants allowed schools and food banks to buy meat, dairy, and produce from small farms, including many healthy products that are often too expensive for those institutions. USDA's local food programs specifically aided some of the nation's most disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, including newcomers, small farmers, and those who'd faced racial discrimination. The local food programs were initially funded by 2021's America Rescue Plan Act, but were later expanded by the Biden administration. The Trump administration, though, has cut the funding that went to thousands of small farms, saying it was instead prioritizing stable, proven solutions that deliver lasting impact, a.k.a. they're going to take all the money from your small farms, give it to the one or two big farms in your community, and tell you, you're a commie if you're against this. You're a commie if you're against this. So the good news is your farm will be bought by the big corporate farming, and you get a punch a clock for them. That's how this is going to go. Just like I said, Persik noted that the federal government has subsidized commodity agriculture like corn and soybeans for more than a century. It's not a novel idea, right? This is how the relationship between the federal government and farmers has looked. And so all this program did was allocate some of the funds to go to different kinds of farmers versus just commodity farmers. But you see, the commodity farmers are the ones that are giving the Republicans the big paychecks. And so, that's why you're going to get screwed. But once again, they'll eventually buy your farm, and you can punch a clock and go work your farm for a minimum wage. And they might let you stay there even. They might let you stay there on the farm. The non-competitive USDA local food grants allowed many new farmers to break into markets. The USDA announced that it was expanding $10 billion in direct payments to commodity farmers through the Emergency Commodity Assistance Program after they cut the local food programs. They did announce this, which helps farmers offset high input prices and low sale prices for crops. The White House is reportedly considering billions more for farm subsidies for those specific farmers, a.k.a. the big wealthy ones. The aid for food hubs, which links small producers to larger markets, help farmers distribute products to schools and to food banks. In Wisconsin, for example, more than half of the nearly 300 farmers who benefited from the food bank program were early career farmers, according to state officials. In Illinois, the state prioritized funds towards socially disadvantaged farmers, such as those who have faced racial or ethnic prejudice. Attacking this program was really an attack on Illinois' most vulnerable, whether it's a socially disadvantaged farmer or the food recipient, said Christy Jones, deputy director of the Illinois Department of Agriculture. Democratic leaders have bashed the Trump administration's decision, including Illinois Governor Pritzker, who, for example, called it a slap in the face to Illinois farmers and to the communities they feed. But conservative leaders in other states have downplayed the cuts. In Texas, and of course it's Texas, Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller characterized USDA's decision as a reassessment, basically taking the money from the small farmers. Instead of giving it to, is like in Wisconsin, 300 small farmers, there's 2 really wealthy farmers that can take all that money and see. He said the state was not dependent on the federal funds and would continue its farm to school and farm to food bank programs, which encourages the local purchase of Texas agricultural products. There's always room for refinement, and we may see a revised version of that policy down the road that is even better than the agricultural producers. Texas funds programs to help distribute excess food to schools, food banks, and charities, but it does not have a grant program like the USDA to help those organizations purchase local food, Marshall Webb, spokesperson, said for the state agricultural department. So basically, they have a process for it, but they don't have the grant for the schools to buy it. So if the schools don't have the money, it doesn't matter if they have extra food, they can't get it. Iowa's agriculture, and a reminder too, and this is Texas, so my guess is most of the money they have can only afford stuff like pre-processed, highly chemical, highly salt, processed foods. Iowa's agriculture department recently started its own local food program. The Choose Iowa program has made about $300,000 available to support local food purchases, although the state lost out on $11.3 million because of federal cuts. So, okay, I give Choose Iowa a little bit there, but that's basically trying to, spray Glade at a pile of manure and hoping it covers the smell. You lost $11.3 million, so you putting $300,000 out there, that's not going to cover it. Don McNeil, a spokesperson for the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship, said the agency would continue to ask lawmakers to expand funding for the Choose Iowa program, but they're a long way away. This goes back to what I was saying before. They're telling you what they're going to do. All these great programs. I mean, and like I said, I would love to be a fly on the wall of some MAGA farmer who was selling their crops to the local school district or the local food bank and screaming, "Let's go, Brandon! Let's go, Brandon!" And now all of a sudden it's coming to light that, oh, remember Brandon? He was the one that actually gave you the money for that. You're the guy you voted for, just torpedoed you. But good news, once again, all that money that was going to help you and say 299 other farmers is instead going to go to 2 major corporate mega farmers, and eventually they'll buy your farm and you can punch a clock working minimum wage doing the same work you do right now and pay them rent for your farmhouse. So there you go. There you go. But you got to think about us. I did. I spent a year thinking about you guys. I spent a year sitting on this radio station saying, you guys aren't dumb enough to do this again, are you? Yep, you are. So, like I said, I mean, the saddest part of our society today is there are consultants that help you with your GoFundMe page because you're actually competing with your neighbors. And it will show you how to make a GoFundMe page that shines. God help us all, man. And it's not just these ag programs. You want a stark story that, once again, how is no Republican in the state of Minnesota out there screaming at the top of their lungs with this one? 2 Social Security Administration field offices in Minnesota are set to lose up to 50% of their staff under the latest round of federal cuts imposed by Trump and Elon Musk's Doge. Documents provided to the SSA and the Senate Finance Committee, shared with Bringing the News by the offices of Senator Tina Smith, details a series of cuts the SSA operations, including lease terminations and staff reductions. While none of Minnesota's 16 Social Security field offices are included in the lease termination list, 2 of them are included in the list of offices that will see headcount reductions of greater than 25%. The list says that the Social Security Administration field office in Alexandria will see its staff levels reduced by 50, while the office in Rochester will see its headcount cut by 40. There is no information at the time how many individual staff members that will impact. It comes as the Washington Post reports that the Trump administration is planning more layoffs and service reductions at the Social Security Administration, having already cut 7,000 workers from the department since February through a combination of layoffs, buyouts, and retirement. Cutting staff at the Social Security offices will directly harm Minnesotans who can count on these services to access their benefits, said Tina Smith. This will only mean longer wait times, more delays, and less support for seniors, people with disabilities, and families who need help. Let's be clear, this isn't about rooting out waste and fraud. It's about making room for more tax cuts for billionaires and big corporations at the expense of working people who spent their lives paying into the system. The SSA offices, I want you to listen to this. The SSA offices in Alexandria provide Social Security services for Douglas, Grant, Pope, Stevens, and Todd counties. The Rochester offers service Olmsted, Dodge, Fillmore, and Goodhue counties. Now, you've just lost all your grant money to help get cheap food to school districts and help encourage your brand as a small or medium-sized farmer. Now your Social Security is going to be much harder to access, because I can tell you, at least in the city of Alexandria, let's just talk about Alexandria for a second. First of all, you're laying off. I mean, I can't imagine the office is that big, but still, what? If you're laying off 50% of the office, that could be 5 or 6 people. That's 5 or 6 people who just lost their paycheck. And whereas everywhere is going to hurt, and I've said this a few times, everywhere is going to hurt, the metro areas are going to absorb this better than rural communities, because there's not as many places you can hide in a rural community, man. So there's that element. I mean, if it's just the number of staff members, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, that are getting laid off, that's, if these are jobs that were paying $60,000, $70,000 a year, say it's 5 people, $70,000 a year, that's $350,000 of income coming into the community. That's not coming into the community anymore. That's a bit of a hit. But even more of a hit is that if you are in the counties of Douglas, Grant, Pope, Stevens, and Todd counties, you now all of a sudden have half the staff serving your Social Security questions and needs. Half. You call in down, you have an emergency, how quick do you think they're going to be able to turn that around? Where is any Republican that service that represents Douglas or Grant or Pope or Stevens or Todd counties? Where's any Republican that services them calling up the White House and saying, hey, I'm a Republican, I'm proud of this, but you can't hurt my district like this. You can't hurt my district like this. We can't be losing these staff numbers. And I got a lot of people. You got a lot of people who go to Social Security in Douglas, Grant, Pope, Stevens, and Todd counties who voted MAGA. And they're not going to be able to get their benefits. Or at least it's going to be much harder for them to get their benefits. Well, Trump is working on the rest of that. It'll be all gone eventually. The Rochester office, Olmsted County, of course. Dodge, Fillmore, Goodhue counties. Where are your Republicans now? Where are your Republicans sitting there? You Metro Democrats need to get your nose out of our country business. Oh, I guarantee you. Well, first of all, where are any of you guys right now saying, no, you can't cut 40%? I'm going to guess with Olmsted County there, it's a bigger county. 40% of staff is probably a bigger head count than the Alexandria office. So maybe 8, 9, 10 people. But once again, you got Rochester. It's a larger city. Probably will absorb that a little bit better, but still it's going to be a ding to the system. But if you're in Dodge or Fillmore or Goodhue counties, where are your Republicans today as they make these cuts? Are they talking about transgender athletes? Is that what they're talking about? Are they talking about Trump derangement syndrome? Is that what they're talking about? Are they talking about your gun has more rights than you? It needs to be able to be taken anywhere you want to take your gun. Because I can tell you what they're not talking about. They're not talking about the cuts to their community, to their Social Security services, which is going to hurt them, which have not been caused by Democrats at all. No. They've been caused by Republicans. caused by Republicans. So what are you going to do? This is once again, I want to put forward my perspective on this. You watched Trump do all this stuff to you before. You needed Joe Biden to save you, which he did, and the Democrats saved you. And immediately you turned on them, screaming, "Let's go, Brandon," giggling all the way. Trump told you he was going to do all this stuff, told you he was going to make cuts to Social Security, told you that he was going to cut the grant programs for the ag sector, told you he was going to have a tariff war that was going to basically jeopardize your markets, told you all this, and all of you, every single stinking one of you Trump voters, applauded it and cheered it on. And only after you elected him did you start saying, it's like, wait a second, what did he say we were cheering for? Oh, wow, I hope he doesn't do that. Because let's face it, when you were cheering it on, you thought he was going to go after those inner city people, right? That's what you thought. He's going to go after those liberals. See, his Twin Cities, Rochester, Duluth, St. Cloud for the most part, Mankato, Moorhead probably will be able to survive this a heck of a lot better than you will. Because this is at your doorstep. And you don't have, as I said, you don't have places to hide. So what am I supposed to do as I watch you do this? Now that all of a sudden you're getting hurt, now all of a sudden you want compassion. You want compassion and caring. Even though you voted to hurt other people more than you voted to help yourself. You voted to hurt other people instead of voting to help yourself. Don't play the victim. I don't think help is coming for you at least until January of 2027 at earliest. So my only suggestion at this point is work on your GoFundMe page. Just hang your head low and take the L, because that's where you're at. I can't help you at this point. Supreme Court just, as a matter of fact, just ruled, what was it, that that grant program that was helping teachers over at St. Thomas, they just ruled that if Trump wants to kill it, he can kill it. So we'll see what happens. But that Supreme Court starting to line up and say, yep, Donald Trump can do all this stuff. Maybe you can burn your Let's Go Brandon shirts to keep warm. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. A quick little comment about Bobby Joe Champion when I do come on back, plus then some music on a Friday. It is the Matt McNeil Show today.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
A wonderful Easter is easy with the annual Easter brunch at the Park Tavern. Enjoy Easter ham, roast beef, all your Easter breakfast favorites, all the sides and desserts. Seating's from 10:30 to 3 on Sunday, April 20th, and you need reservations. $24.95 for adults, $19.95 for those 65 and over, and kids 12 and under, and 5 and under are free. And don't forget the hour of free bowling with every reservation. Call 952-929-6810. That's 952-929-6810 on Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park. Easter brunch is fun and easy and waiting for you at the Park Tavern.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
I believe in Minneapolis, where everyone, longtime residents and new arrivals, feel safe, supported, and seen. That means tackling homelessness with real resources, investing in community safety, and advocating for local businesses. I'm Marcus Jones, a Minneapolis firefighter and a father. I'm not here to play politics. I'm here to deliver for Ward 9. Visit marcusjones.com to join my campaign and learn more about attending your local caucus on April 8th.
This advertisement was paid for by Marcus Jones, candidate for Ward 9 of Minneapolis City Council.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. And so one thing I want to be, I was very critical with the Republicans when they had the fraudulent House sessions. We're trying to basically give a bunch of state money to one of their own members' law partners to vend it. You don't do that. You just, that's that. I'm going to be consistent. I'm a little bit disappointed in Minnesota Senate President Bobby Joe Champion, who introduced a bill providing $1 million grant to 21 Days of Peace, a violence prevention group headed by the Reverend Jerry McAfee. Sitting next to McAfee at the Jobs and Economic Development hearing on April 2nd, Champion praised the pastor's group as an organization dedicated to reducing violence and supporting individuals re-entering the workforce and providing holistic, culturally responsive services at youth, kids, and adults. What neither Champion or McAfee mentioned was that during the hearing starting in 2022, Champion in a private capacity as an attorney represented McAfee and his nonprofit Salem Incorporated in 4 court cases involving non-payment of mortgages on multiple Minneapolis properties totaling roughly $500,000. The period overlaps with the 23-24 legislative session when lawmakers gave $3 million grant to McAfee's nonprofit. Champion was the chief author of that bill as well. Champion says that his work on the mortgage cases were pro bono and that because it concluded in December 2022 prior to the start of the legislative sessions, he did not need to disclose the relationship to the public or to his colleagues. There would be no need to disclose a work relationship which had already concluded at that time, which provides no financial benefit to me. But at least 2 of those cases did not have final judgments issued until March and April of 2023 after Champion had introduced the funding bill. It looks like a minor problem, but it's a problem. And frankly, if you're going to introduce a bill like this to help them out, you needed to be forthright from the get-go. And you shouldn't be apologizing after the fact. Now, once again, that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't need to dwell on it. I think it's a dumb mistake. And as opposed to leave you on a negative point, I will make sure to remind you that tomorrow at noon, it's the Hands Off rally at the state capitol. At noon, once again, put on by 5051 Indivisible Twin Cities in Women's March, Minnesota. Head on out there, make your voice heard. I think that's a good way to head into the weekend. Well, that and brand new music from Dury. I'm so grateful Austin and Taryn have got a new album coming on out. Very happy about the Burnsville's Best. We're going to listen to This Movie Sucks is the song taking us out. Have a great weekend. Native Roots Radio is up next. Until Monday, see ya.
But I'm not. This movie sucks. I guess when I'm dead, it's just the ending that I get. Go riding through the sunset. There's no bloopers at the end, so I'll just bide my time and try my luck. Nod and smile and bite my tongue again. Why do I keep trying to make the plot make sense? My life is a movie I don't wanna watch. A homemade horror flick on VHS. Why pretend that anybody can see what in a happy end that I'm playing? Getting tired, so annoyed I'm even trying. You can guess who's dying next, but I'm just waiting for the plot twist. If I'm honest, I forgot who's the bad guy and who's not. I guess it just depends who's even watching. This movie sucks. My life is a movie I don't wanna watch. I pretend that anybody can see what in a happy end after I'm alone. Disaster, ready with ketchup blood. when it's ended. I guess when I'm dead, it's just the ending that I get. No riding to the sunset, there's no bloopers at the end.
Hi, this is Paul Metza, host of the Wall of Power Radio Hour.